everyone. I'm Renee, your host of the Body and Mind Strong podcast. Thank you so much for listening. Hope you're all having a good start to your day. I know I am because it's June, and yet we had a nice little storm come through here last night in Arizona. It was actually cool enough this morning to open up all my windows. It was so nice and beautiful. I embraced it because I knew it wasn't going to last. Yep. The suck is coming this afternoon. Anyways, today we're talking about something I know a lot of you are living with right now, whether you call it by name or not, and that is burnout. Maybe you're waking up already exhausted, even after a full night's rest asleep. Maybe you've noticed you're more irritable than usual, snapping at people you love over things that wouldn't normally bother you. Maybe your workouts feel more like a chore instead of something that fuels you, or you've lost that spark for things you really used to enjoy. Maybe you're just going through the motions at work or with your family, present in your body but checked out everywhere else. If any of this sounds familiar, you're not broken and you're not alone. If you're a busy, active woman juggling work, family, your own health goals, and about 100 other things on your plate, this episode is for you. We're going to talk about what burnout actually is, why it tends to sneak up on women who are doing the most, and what you can start doing today to prevent it before it takes you out. So grab your coffee, get comfortable, and let's get into it. Now, let's start with the basics. What really is burnout? Burnout isn't just being tired. It isn't just a rough week or needing vacation. The World Health Organization actually classifies burnout as an occupational phenomenon defined by 3 core components: emotional exhaustion, being cynical or detached, and a reduced sense of accomplishment. Now let's break those down. First, the emotional exhaustion. It is that deep tiredness we talked about a minute ago, the kind that doesn't get better with sleep. Then there's being cynical or detached, which shows up as that creeping sense of numbness or irritability where you start to feel disconnected from the people and things around you. And the third piece, reduced accomplishment. It's that nagging feeling that no matter how much you do, it's never enough. You can check off your whole to-do list and still feel like you're failing somewhere. Here's the part that surprises a lot of people. Burnout isn't just about your job. Yes, it was originally defined in the workplace, but in real life, burnout doesn't punch a time clock. For a lot of the women I work with, burnout comes from the accumulation of everything: your job, the household, all the caretaking, that mental load that keeps everyone else's life running smoothly. It's basically a death by 1,000 cuts, not just one single overwhelming thing. And that's really an important distinction because it means the fix isn't just quit your job or take a vacation. Burnout recovery and burnout prevention has to address the whole picture of your life, not just one slice of it. So why does burnout seem to hit women, especially busy, high-achieving women, so hard? Well, let's talk about that. First, the research backs up what a lot of you already feel. Women tend to report higher emotional exhaustion than men, even when the actual workload looks similar on paper. And it's not because women are somehow weaker or less resilient. It comes down to a few real structural reasons. And here's some information I pulled from the National Institutes of Health. One reason is the mental load. When a woman tries to carry the traditional role of running a household on top of a demanding job, her risk of burnout climbs. That's the school emails, the meal planning, the doctor's appointments, the emotional check-ins with everyone in the house, stacked right on top of a career. It's not just one job. It's really like 2 or 3 running at the same time. And most of it is invisible labor no one else even sees, let alone helps carry. Another piece is how we're socialized to handle stress. Researchers have found that women's risks drop when they view their work life and their personal life as equally valid roles, rather than feeling like they have to earn rest or justify taking care of themselves. So many of the women I work with feel guilty resting, like rest is something you only get after everything else is done. Spoiler, everything else is never done. Side note, this is actually what I refer to as the mom syndrome. When I worked in the women's health department years ago, I saw this often. Women were so focused on taking care of everything else and everyone else that they stopped focusing on themselves and their health actually declined. Okay, now there is also a psychological piece to burnout. According to the Journal of Neuropsychiatry, Most men and women don't just experience stress differently, their bodies respond to it differently as well, which means burnout doesn't always look the same from one person to the next. And the one-size-fits-all advice doesn't play here. Remember how I like to answer the question with, it depends? Well, here's another example of that. Men experience burnout just like women, but the reason, the symptoms, and the reactions are all going to be different. And they are even going to be different between women, right? All right, now here's the part that really matters for busy, active women listening right now. Burnout doesn't just sneak up on people who are struggling or falling behind. It sneaks up on the women doing everything right, the ones showing up for their workouts, hitting their work goals, showing up for their families, and still feeling like it's never enough. High performers often hide burnout incredibly well because their coping mechanism is to just push harder right up until they can't. Now, strategy time. Yes, self-care time. Okay, so now that we know what burnout is and why it tends to hit busy, active women so hard, let's talk about a few things you can actually do about it. I'm going to give you about 5 strategies, and I want you to notice that none of them are done more. They are all going to be about doing things differently. Number 1, regulate your nervous system before you try to manage your schedule. Burnout isn't just mental, it's physical as well. Your nervous system gets stuck in this chronic state of go, go, go. And no amount of time management fixes that if your body genuinely doesn't know how to come down from high alert. Simple tools like slow exhale breathing, a few minutes of stillness before you check your phone in the morning, or even just stepping outside with a cup of coffee in your hand can start to signal safety for your body again. Number 2, redefine what productivity actually means to you. A lot of high-achieving women measure their worth by output. Did I get enough done today? But burnout prevention requires letting rest count as something you did, not something you're owed only after the to-do list is finished. Rest isn't a reward. It isn't being lazy. It's maintenance. This actually brings me to number 3, delegate. Ask yourself, am I the only one that needs to complete all these tasks? From what I've seen with clients, more often than not, the answer is no. Get some of those tasks off your shoulder and let someone else help you. Number 4, protect the non-negotiable basics, even when life gets loud. I'm talking about sleep, water, and actually eating real meals instead of running on coffee and adrenaline. These sound almost too simple to mention, but they're usually the first things to go when we're overwhelmed, and they're foundational. You cannot think, feel, or cope your way out of burnout on 4 hours of sleep and an empty stomach. Number 5, build in recovery before you need it, not after you crash. Most of us treat rest like a reaction. We push until we collapse, then we recover. Prevention means flipping that script, scheduling small pockets of time into your week proactively, the same way you schedule a workout or a meeting, so your nervous system never gets pushed all the way to empty in the first place. Now, none of these require a complete life overhaul. They require small, consistent shifts in how you relate to rest, to your body, and your own definition of enough. Now, there's one more tool I have to mention because honestly, it might be the most important one, and that's boundaries. But here's the thing. Boundaries deserve way more than a quick mention at the end of an episode. There's so much to unpack there, how to set them up, how to hold them, why they feel so much harder for women specifically, that I'm going to dedicate an entire episode to it. That one goes live next week. So if boundaries are a struggle for you, and for most of us they are, make sure you subscribe so you don't miss it. Now let's recap. Burnout isn't just about being tired. It's emotional exhaustion, detachment, and that nagging feeling that nothing you do is enough. It tends to creep up on the woman doing the most, not the least, because of the mental load we carry and the way we've been taught to earn our rest. But prevention is possible. It starts with regulating your nervous system, redefining productivity, protecting the basics, and building in recovery before you need it. And don't forget, boundaries are coming next week, so stay tuned for that one. Thank you so much for spending your time with me. If this episode resonates with you, share it with a friend who needs to hear it, and I'll catch you next time. And make sure you're doing at least one thing today that gets you one step closer to one of your goals. Have a great day.